At an early age, his flair for oil painting and art became evident. However, he was soon to become bored and dissatisfied with the lack of the third dimension. This program is Municipal Beat. I'm Ralph Robinson. Let's now take a look at the unique lifestyle characteristics and the quality of workmanship of one of Canada's finest sculptors, Manfred of Oakville. There's an aura of uniqueness and mystique about this man. We know that he was born in Europe, but we don't know where. We don't know his age, and he doesn't tell us. And I don't think anybody knows Manfred's last name. Thank you very much, Manfred, for allowing us into your foundry and your studio. And can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, it was, like you said, I was born in Europe, and I came to Canada in 1953 and went to school here for a number of years till grade 10. And then I went to welding school, started to learn how to weld, and from there I didn't like it too much, and I went to carpentry work, and I did the roofing jobs, and a number of years later I got into doing body work for repairing cars. And
I can't help but interject, and you're still doing body work on these wax models.
Still bodies. And I kind of liked to shape the fenders and the old cars and the 55 Chevs, and so I was kind of unique to, some people asked me to change the fenders and make it a little bit different, and so they always came to me. So, I worked for quite a few years in doing body work, and then one day, working for a dealership in Oakville, some body filler fell on a hammer, and I let it dry, and it made a little swan, and I really liked it. And from that day on, I says, well, gee, I can do that. And so I sculpted a little girl sitting on her knees watching TV, like. And somebody in the office really liked it, and they thought I was quite talented. And I think that's when it really started percolating in my head.
And here we are. Of course, you, as I mentioned, and as many people know, you had a lot of basic talent for art and paintings initially, I guess. But you're now here in your little corner in your studio, yeah, we'll call it, working with wax, the original basis, I guess, for sculpturing.
Well, wax, clay, plasticine, wood, whatever, like whatever medium you like to work in. When I do a small piece like this, I do it in wax, and then the finished product is bronze, and everything has to be in wax at one stage of the in my producing a sculpture. It has to be in wax, because I use the lost wax process in producing these pieces.
How long would it take you to make this original wax model that you have in your hand?
This one here, about a week, just to make the original. Then you have to make a mold so you can make more than one. And the mold takes a couple of days. And from the mold you decide how many pieces you want to make. In this case I'm making 25. And and then you start doing them and hope that somebody likes them and buys them.
And I guess you have a gallery here that people will see later on the program. Mm-hmm. But where do you get the ideas for your creations?
I don't know. This is hard to... they just come. I was at an auction in Burlington one time, and I'm just sitting in the corner by myself, and the moment of trust just came to me, like a woman swinging a child around, and it's like a joyous moment in life. And it was, I don't know where it comes from. It just, it can be anywhere. I can wake up during the night. I can be driving a car. I can, be cooking something. It just bang, it just comes in, and I get an idea and I go do it. I don't have a picture or anything.
Manfred, you mentioned the moment of trust, and I just want to take this moment to mention to the viewers that that's the statue that's in the atrium in Town Hall that you so graciously donated to the town of Oakville a few years ago.
Yes, and I also have one here. I'm making I'm making an edition of 3. And I don't think I'll ever make number 3 because but anyway, I made one that I wanted to sell, and then I made a number of smaller ones that are available.
Have you got any secrets you want to tell us about what one you're going to do next?
Oh, no. Then it doesn't happen. If I tell you I'm going to do so and so, this and that, that's it. Then I don't know what it is. Every time I do it, it's jinxed, and I'm jinxed. It doesn't never. Things happen. So I keep things to myself completely what I want to make.
You're a special man with a special talent, and now I'm going to get you to show all of us just a little bit more about the process throughout your foundry here.
Okay.
Now, the first phase in the project, Manfred, what is happening here?
Well, I'm putting up the ceramic shell onto the wax here, and this is a chemical and has a very fine powder in the chemical. It's a very high temperature chemical that I'm building up a shell around the wax, and when this has about 5-6 coats on it, I burn out this wax, and then where the wax was is where the bronze goes, and these things here are the gates. These are the runners where the bronze goes into the sculpture, and later on they get cut off, and later on I can show you where we can pour one of these.
That looks like a girl or a lady with her hands up in the air.
Well, this is the part of the moment of trust. This is the little girl, and this is the lady's hands. And I do this in 2 sections because it's easier for me to do it like that. And then I weld it together right here. This is the lady's arms here. Okay. So when this has stopped dripping, I coat it with a coat of sand. And it's a very, very special sand. It's from Australia. It's called zircon sand. And as soon as the sand is on, and it stops dripping, and then later on I put it on a shelf and where the fan dries it. And then as soon as this coat is dry, I will do this again. And I keep doing this, and it gets thicker and thicker. Okay. So now it is pretty well stopped dripping here. So now we'll go and put the fine sand on it. See, this is the fine sand that comes from Australia, and it's a fused sand. There's a bit difference between just ordinary sand and fused. This sand has been heated already by high temperatures. So later on, this shell can receive temperatures up to 5,000 degrees. Okay.
Just let me ask you a question, Manfred, on this sand from Australia. Do you have to import this yourself, or is there some place around here that you can acquire it?
No, there's a company in Brampton that they let me have a bag once in a while, because I use very, very little of this sand, and I use more of the other sands. The other sands over there, they are heavier sand, and I use much more. This is only for the first coat, so 100 pounds would last me a long time, and I buy this directly from another company who buys a lot of this sand, and then they just sell me a little bit of it.
Okay, let's look at the drying process.
See, now I put this onto my table here where the air can pass freely all around the sculpture, and the fan dries it much quicker. If I didn't have the fan, then it would take about 24 hours sometimes. So the fan goes, this can get another coat on in about 10 minutes. And then you won't see the wax so much anymore. Here we have a finished one. This is ready for burning out into the oven. The wax is still in there, and you put it in a hot oven, and all the wax comes right out of it. And where, like I said, where the wax was, the bronze goes. So later on we can fill one of these up and I can show you how it works.
This process, Manfred, as I understand it, is the beginning of melting down the bronze.
Yeah, I use some used bushings and things that I get from the scrapyard. And this is a crucible where the hot bronze will be in. This doesn't melt. This is a special ceramic stuff that, it can take a lot of heat. It's made out of graphite. I don't know where they're made, but it takes a lot of heat. And I take this pot and I put it into my oven here. Okay, and then I put a lid on it. And then this is the lid, and then I have a torch that you'll see in a minute here. Just a second. Okay, so now let's go over there. I can get this. This is pretty heavy here. Okay. So this is a propane torch. Just ordinary propane. Just a minute. Get the valve going here. Okay. Gets quite hot, and here you can hear the. Okay, then this gets quite noisy, and there's a lot of heat there.
The bronze behind us in the crucible is being melted down into liquid form, and while this is taking place, Manfred is now going to melt the wax from the inside of the shell. So Manfred, show us exactly how all this is going to take place.
Okay. I'm putting this in another oven, and I will shock heat it that this gets a lot of heat at one time. And if you did it very slow, it would break up like water in a motor. So if you do it fast, it hasn't got a time to expand, okay? And there's no expansion. It comes out very fast. And this is what shock heating, and you burn out the wax fast. If you did it slow, you crack it all in little pieces. So that's what we'll do now.
Now you're going to show us.
That's right. Very soon the wax will start dripping at the bottom there, and when it's all out and the bronze is melted, the bronze will go into this hot shell. Okay?
As a matter of interest, have you any idea what the temperature of it becomes inside those drums?
Well, this temperature here is about 1800 degrees, and the oven where I melt the bronze is about 2600 degrees. But the bronze only goes up to 21. The oven is always hotter than the actual bronze. If I left it in maybe 3 or 4 hours, I might get it up to 2400, but I don't think so. So the wax should be coming out right about now.
Manfred is now starting the process of taking the hot shell to another position where the molten liquid is pouring into it. The molten bronze is poured into it. As you can see, he's taking the red hot shell over to a bucket of sand, which is a process that he uses. Lays the red hot shell in the sand, and now he will commence to very shortly pour the liquid bronze, 2400 degrees Fahrenheit, into the center of the shell. That is indeed a very spectacular sight. Approximate temperature inside there right now is 2600 degrees Fahrenheit. the molten bronze is being poured into the center of the shell. Very spectacular. Very spectacular. We got you here for a minute, Manfred. Just bring us up to date and tell us what's happened.
Well, now that the bronze is poured, the pot, I leave it on an angle in the oven like this to, when it cools off, the piece that's in the bottom doesn't crack the pot when I reheat it. So I leave it on that angle there. And now we wait for the shell to cool off. And as soon as it cools up to about, I'd say, 600 degrees, it starts to shrink, and then it breaks that shell that we earlier dipped on there.
Manfred is now bringing the shell with the bronze inside, which is now cooled down to about 800 degrees, to the forefront where it will rest until the next phase, which I believe is the cracking of the outside shell. We just had the microphone down very close to the casting, and I believe we could actually hear it cooling off and cracking, and the next order of business here will be for it, as I understand, according to Manfred, to crack much more openly, and then he will start to chip off the outside of the shell and leave just the pure bronze. Which is exactly what is happening now.
See this cracking, this shell is very, very soft now after it's cast. It's not quite as strong anymore, and so this gives you a chance to get the sculpture that you want out here very easy. And these are called the gates, and we will cut them off after. These things just let these vents, they just let the air out. If I didn't do that, then you wouldn't get the bronze to flow everywhere. So you see, here's the sculpture that as you can see, that I want. This is, again, part of the small piece of the moment of trust. And this is always an exciting part, to see whether it came out or not. Sometimes you miss, and then you have to do this all over again because there's a big bubble or something in it, or the bronze cracked, or it wasn't hot enough. There's many things happen. There's the hands showing now. This looks like a very good casting. This is great. It's almost cracking on its own now.
As I understand it, Manfred, everyone is different.
Yes, every time you do a piece, it's always individually made. It's not like a print. When you buy a print from a painting, then it's always 100% the same. But this is always individually remade it's from a mold, but it always has to be worked many, many hours afterwards too, because you always lose some details when you pour the wax into the mold. So there we have a nice casting. Of course, when I don't do this all by itself. When I do casting, I do many pieces at once. But I just wanted to show you what it's like to do this. So I just did this piece by itself. So it gives you an idea what I have to go through to do something like this. There, it's coming apart really good.
That's the little girl in the moment of truth.
Trust.
Moment of trust.
That's it. And there's the mother's hands here, and this is the little girl. And then this, like I said, gets welded onto the mother. And the mother I cast yesterday. So now I have a complete set that I can put back together again. There we go. So the rest gets sandblasted now after this when it's cooled off, and then it's ready for welding together.
Manfred, following the removal of the shell and the polishing and the buffing and the shining and cutting off the gates and everything, you're doing the, is it called the patina process?
The patina, yeah. You put a chemical on a hot metal here. I just heated this up, and there's all kinds of different colors that you can get. This happened to be a brownish color that I quite like, and you work it on, you work it, and it's very hot. The sculpture here is very hot, and this is the only way to put this chemical on it, to do it like this.
This becomes the color of all your models and all your sculptures.
Yeah. I decide when, I usually like my dress green, and then the body's brownish like, and then the hair blondish and or dark brunettish sort of, like this one. It's you never know what you wind up with. You just keep painting, and you know, like this. You gotta put some more in here. I don't know the name. It's a sulfuric nitrate that I mix up. It's a very stinky chemical. See how it goes on?
Yes.
See, you have to have a certain temperature here. If it's too hot, it comes off like a water on a duck. You know, if it just has to be the right temperature here.
Your whole process is a meticulous one, Manfred, and I can see why you're working 14 or 15 hours a day.
That's right. You see, it takes many hours. If I ever figure out the hours, I probably make about $2 an hour at this, but that's beside the point. I just love what I do here.
And now we're going to go inside to the gallery and look at some of the excellent results that you have created over the years. The gallery, just a beautiful setting with many elegant models of Manfred's work. They're a sight to behold, Manfred, and we don't have time to talk about them all, but there are two in front of us here that I'd just like you to explain a little bit about what we have.
Well, this one here is, I titled it 11, and I think it's very appropriate to that. It's a very beautiful piece, and I won't tell you why I named it 11, because it leaves a little bit of a mystery to that. And this one here, I call it So Vain, and she really thinks, like the girl really thinks she's so beautiful. She's looking at herself into a real mirror. The mirror is made out of silver, which I cast, and she's got golden rings on her arm there. And the wood is a very special wood that I got from South America that I turn on the lathe. Each one of these has that special wood. It took many months to create these pieces, and I really enjoyed them.
They're lovely, Manfred. And I just would like to take this opportunity at this moment to remind all the viewers once again that it was Manfred who was commissioned by the province of Ontario some, I guess, probably maybe 11 years ago now, to create the 9-foot lifelike statue of Terry Fox up at Marathon, just outside of Thunder Bay, where Terry ended his run. And the province of Ontario then, I believe under the direction of Jim Snow, had Manfred make this beautiful remembrance to Terry Fox. Any comments on that?
Yeah, that was a very special job that I got. It's a work of love for many months. I worked on it for about 9 months on it, and we're very proud that I was chosen to do the sculpture. And it's a very it's in a very special place in Canada. I would say it's just about central if you look on the overall map of Canada. And it's, quite proud of that piece.
And of course, all of us in Halton and in Oakville are very proud to have you as one of our people doing all this fine work. What hours is your gallery open here, Manfred?
We don't have a clock here. We just go and go till we drop.
And when are they open?
Oh, the gallery's open usually on the weekends when it's really nice and beautiful. It's like Saturdays and Sundays. And you know, if during the week, if somebody wanted to see something, phone me up, or the curator Mary Christie. She will be gladly help you in this, in anything you want to see.
I would encourage all you people to come out here on a nice Saturday or Sunday and take a look at what Manfred has created. And I guess as a sort of a final note, have you got anything you'd like to say to the viewers about your style of life and your creations?
Well, I just do my thing, and I think that it's very important that you do something in life that you enjoy doing. There's a lot of people in the world that they do something, they're not super happy at it. And I notice the cameraman and the crew here that I think I've been watching them, I think they do a very good job, and they really like what they do. So they're doing a really good job. Thank you.
One of Canada's finest sculptors, Manfred, and ladies and gentlemen, that brings to conclusion another edition of Municipal Beat. And on behalf of Manfred of Oakville, we hope you enjoyed it. So until the next time, keep active, keep involved, and have a good day. I'm Ralph Robinson.